righty, good morning. I think we're live. You guys able to hear my face and see my screen in the Discord? Let me make sure I'm not muted on the StreamYard as well. All right. I think we're good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Nikki, good morning. Got Charlie, Elizabeth, Onrod. How's it going? How's it going? Can hear my face and see my voice. Awesome. I think we're here. Thanks. Wayne B on YouTube. Welcome, welcome. So this is going to be the, I don't know how many of these have we done since January 15th? It's been a little over a month. So let me pull this up here real quick. We'll just kind of go through the spiel just to show kind of what we're doing with the account. So we started on January 15th. We had a little SPX issue where I had a personal emergency, kind of blew up the account. January 15th, we started at 37.70. Today we're up to 739.84, and my goal for today is just to make $11. So the goal for the day is pretty simple. It just keeps growing each day by a small amount because we keep locking in a small amount of profit and walking away for the day. So yesterday, you guys watched me take the worst case scenario. I took 4 losses, lost less than 2% on the portfolio. We can very, very quickly make that back with the other profits that we've been making. So here's my outcome matrix. This is the only thing that I care about as far as these bracket orders go. And it's a pretty straightforward process. So I'm taking 3% take profit, 2% stop loss on all my trades going forward. So if I take all 4 trades and they're wins, I get 3%. If they're all losses, I get 2%, or as you saw yesterday, a little bit less due to slippage. So if I walk away with only taking 1 loss, meaning that I just stop trading after I take that loss, I can either lose 0.5%, gain 0.25%, gain 1%, gain 1.75%, and beat my daily goal. Or if I don't trade until I lose, I can have a 0.75% profit. Or if I win 2 wins, then I hit my goal for the day and I can walk away. If I get 3 wins, 2.25%. 4 wins obviously is 3, but if I get 3 wins, 1 loss, it's 1.75. 2 wins, 1 loss is 1.00. Let me move that around. So I like these odds because 6 out of 7 of these are profitable and only 1 is red. So all I got to do is respect my rules if that's the goal that I want to achieve. So with that said, let's build out the watch list. And then before we do that, I've got to make my, I gotta put my allocation money in there. So give me 1 second here. All right, so process again, super simple, super straightforward. I have a total account value of 739.83. I'm gonna just divide that by 4 because I want to take 4 trades. 184.96 is my amount that I put here, 184.96. And then all I gotta do now is hit this button here when I want to trade. So let's come over here, pre-market. Let's close that out because I don't need that anymore. And then I'm just going to look at these and build my list out. So I'm going to go to the 2-minute. I like TLIH. And I'm also going to, once I build this list here, I'm going to put them all in my alert channel where I put these setups. So again, I'm noticing there's a couple, we only have 2 so far, but there's a couple sub-dollar stocks, and the ones that are on the top of the list this morning for the percent change runners happen to be sub-dollar trash. So I got to be very mindful of that as we push into the morning. So VIR is just straight up selling off. I'm not going to look at that till market open. There's no point in adding that. PVLA doesn't have volume. Hey, alarm clock. Alarm clock wants to build the watch list too. LRMR, I like this one. We've got the levels already plotted out. Easy peasy. RIME. This is another one. You know, when it gets volume, it gets volume. But we have to. We got to let it breathe a little bit. And then CLVT doesn't have volume right now. SG, so it's slim pickings this morning, right? So I'm just going to start with these 4. And let me just move this over here so we can see. And let me just open up my channel, and then I'll just break down the ranges and we'll put everything into the charts. So on this chart here on TLIH, let me put these in the chat, in the alert channel, because I will forget to write the tickers. LRMR and RIME. Okay. So in the case of TLIH, I've only got a couple options here. And what I'm doing here is I'm looking for the bigger red candles in this case, because we don't have any, like we've got 3 bullish candles. Aside from these guys, like these guys don't really count because there's nothing over here. But once the volume is present, once it's established, there's no clean area that we can draw off these bullish candles, the white candles. There's this guy right here, but it's kind of sketchy, right? It's a very small candle. So when I look at the red candles, though, I see the opposite. I see a big candle right here, and I see a decent enough range right here, which also kind of envelops this guy, and it shows that impulse. So this right here is probably going to be my only range on the stock. And that's it. So for this one, I'm going to be looking for a move up, probably a pullback, and then a move to the upside after that. I don't think I'm going to be trading it below there unless I see something that I really like, but I don't see anything like that right now. So for TLIH, that's about it. That's the only thing I'm going to care about. BRTX, I've got a great set of candles here. I've got a good candle right there. And then this is all pretty bleh. So again, there's just nothing really substantial pre-market. So for this one, I'm going to be looking for a pullback and a retest, or for a better candle and better range to form after market opens. I just don't see what I like right now. LRMR, I love this. I absolutely love this setup. I like that range right there, and I kind of like this range right here too, but that's a little bit more transitory. So I'm going to draw my box there. This is definitely better. For this one, I'm going to be looking for this yellow box here to hold, and we'll see if that one wants to hold. And then for RME, there's just nothing I can do. There's no, there's nothing I can draw here. I can kick it up to like the 1 hour, and I can see if there's something down there, but you've got that, and then we've got that, and then we've got this, and that's about it for this one. So for this one, I'm going to draw it on the 1 hour, but we're going to have to trade the entry and the risk on maybe the 2 minute. So for right now, I'm not touching any of these pre-market. We could get in and out. The volume's here on some of these, and it is pushing and pulling. But since I'm trading these tight ranges, this 3% take profit, 2% stop loss, I really don't want to catch these unless they're just pushing and unless I can get good clean fills during market hours. So we're going to just hang out for the next 6 minutes, right? That's the only thing that we really want to do on a day like today. There's not good quality action. We've got good potential, but the volume is still super sketchy. If you had all these up, right, just take the top 5 gainers for the day, right? You've got 25 million, 3 million, so 3.5. So that would be 29 million right there, 31 million. Yeah, 51. Yeah, I mean, it's super weak volume. You got less than 100 million volume for all these tickers right here. I would say like 60 million. So it would be super sketchy for me to just jump in. I never want to trade pre-market. I do. Just not on mornings like this. So when we take this approach, we want to trade the volume while it's there. And if the volume isn't there, if it's weak, or if there's just symptoms of it not being efficient, then it's just unnecessary risk. So what we're looking for by drawing these boxes is the concentration of liquidity, right? Everything is from high concentration to low concentration. That applies to like every concept in the universe. It's the store and release of charge, right? So in this case, we're looking for the store and release of liquidity, or the concentration to release of liquidity. And liquidity is everywhere. It's not just in one spot and then it just magically goes. Liquidity is everywhere. So we're looking for that buildup and then the release in the direction that makes us money. So right now, for example, it's coming back to this box. There's an opportunity for it to hold this area and for it to push out of this area violently to the upside. And we've seen that historically. Now, in this case, that's all we want to happen. So we have to wait now, right, until that actually starts to happen. And then we can take an opportunity. So if I look at the order book here, I can see there's a bid wall at 355, and it's pretty large. And then there's a similar size wall. It's 12K and 11K up here at 385. So the range that they're going to want to trade is from 355 to 385. So this is kind of where they're trying to keep the price. It's from there to there. So I'm going to look for a break out of that box, which means I'm probably not going to trade the yellow box unless I see a small candle that I like during market hours. And that the safer trade, or I can't say the safer trade, the better potential trade is going to be up here from that box to that box. It's not to say this box here doesn't have potential, because obviously it does. It produced this giant 8% candle here, and we got another 2.22% candle here. But I'm really going to be looking for a break out of this box, I believe, for a better quality trade. So there's just a lot of contention here. Then if I look at RIME, for example, this is just pushing. Like there's nothing on the low time frame here that I can really use to justify. So I have to look up at the higher time frame when that volume was a little bit more spread apart, right? So we use time frames to visualize that concentration. And if we don't see the concentration on the current time frame, we have to look elsewhere, right? Because we want clean, actionable ranges. And then in the low time frames, we just take the confirmations and the small time frame risk range, and then we can still have the larger time frame take profit if we want, but we don't want the larger time frame risk. Does that make sense? And on this account, I don't really care about the full profit range. I only need my 3%. And realistically, I only need to do that twice, right? I only need 2 winning trades if I just want to walk away with my 1.5%. So in a perfect world, if we're a new trader and we're drawing these boxes, we're looking for price to enter one of these boxes and then start to leave one of these boxes, ideally with like a 5 candle break. And then we're going to be looking for a wall here on the ask to be diminished and then pulled. And then for this time in sales to absolutely just be rocking and rolling. And then we see a flush of green, we hit the buy button and boom, 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 done. And then it just goes up and hits our target. Does that make sense? Now, it takes some practice, right? Because there's a lot of moving parts there, but we want to keep it very simple. Like we don't want to have a whole bunch of analysis in the mix because that's inefficient and it can be stressful. So I just draw the shapes and colors, and then I look for patterns to push into them. A little mosquito comes down and pokes into this vein, and then that gives us some sort of threshold, the high of that candle. And then from there, I just wait for him to fly away. And then if he digs deeper, I just move the threshold down and down and down. And then eventually he flies away and I get my piece. And if I'm wrong, right, quote unquote wrong, and he starts to fly away but doesn't quite get to my target, and then he goes deeper, then I just stop out with that 2%, and then I'm protected. And that's what the stop loss is for. So we got about a minute. We have a minute and 5 seconds. BHAT looks like a juicy trap. Looks like it's got potential, but bound to murder. Oh, you know what? I never... My bad, dudes. I didn't tag the rolls when I put the charts in there. I'm sorry. BHAT on what time frame? That looks... Oh, BHAT. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we like this one, but not here. All right, so the market is about to open in 30 seconds. So I'm going to switch this over to the 1 day. And then as the market opens, I'm going to switch back and forth here on this between top losers, top gainers until I see the top gainers list green like it is right now. Because what's going to happen is market's going to open, prices will shuffle around, and this list will wipe out. It'll reset. I'll see a bunch of like white numbers with dashes. So I need to make sure that the Webull interface is showing me accurate information. So I've got a toggle. See right there? It just resets. So now we got about 3 seconds till open. I'll just toggle back and forth. All right. So there we go. So I'm just kind of giving it a second. All right, there we go. So now I'm just going to keep an eye on these numbers here and see what is pushing. And as soon as I see the one that I like pushing, like right, oh, can only be liquidated. What? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. Why would you say that, Webull? Webull's trying to get in the way of our success. All right, let's see what else we got. That's pulling down. That's sketchy. That's pulling down. This is the only one I like, but it needs directional volume. And now we wait, right? Sketchy open. We don't want to, we had one opportunity here and that's it so far. Now we got to wait. So I keep an eye on these numbers here. I know this one's around 27. This one's around 30. This one's around 23. So I'm just keeping an eye on these numbers. That's all I'm looking at right here. Just this column of numbers. When I see one go up, then I'm going to look at that stock. Like right here, this is starting to pull up a little bit. So I don't see the time and sales pushing as much as it should be. So I'm going to look for a break over 367, maybe. There's a flash of green. So I'm going to take a risk right here on LRMR. And then maybe it goes up, maybe it goes down. I can move my stop loss up to minimize the loss if I want, but I'm going to let it ride out because it's showing strength out of one of my ranges. That's all I care about. So I'll let that cook a little bit. I'm seeing this one jump from 53 to 49% over here. So that's a little sketchy. BRTX is not really pushing, but we got a wall right here. This is beautiful. Time and sales is flushing. I love it. All right, so as soon as this breaks, sorry, I'm just trying to keep an eye on all the little things moving around on my screen here because the other order got filled. And that was a profit. So we made $5 and my goal is to make it like $11, right? So I'm up 0.68% instead of my 0.75 because remember we got some slippage there. All right, I like the little heartbeat here. I'm just looking for it to push. So I want it to break over the high of this candle, which is currently 25.76. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take my piece right here. This is risky entry because this one's showing a lot of push and pull. I don't like that. But I do like the general momentum here. As long as it breaks over this wick, I think we should be fine. But it's going to have some push and pull. I would really like to see the time and sales here just ramp to the upside. So when we see a candle like this with wicks on both ends, it's going to want to keep the price within that range. So right here. So I'm relying on it breaking now to the upside. So let me switch back over here and look at LRMR. BRTX, what happened there? Did we get... Yes, okay, so I took a little bit of a loss there. So I'm still net profitable because the first trade was a win. But we didn't break out of this range on that one. So I'm going to switch back over here to LRMR because this is the one that I really like. I think this one has a little bit more potential than the other ones. So if I'm a new trader, remember my outcome matrix here. I'm not going to pull it up right now, but I would be done trading for the day because I took my loss. So 1 win, 1 loss. I'm going to go ahead and grab my piece right here. And this is an aggressive entry. It's pretty risky because I'm heading up into a zone of potential rejection, like right here. But I like the strength, so I'm going to justify taking that risk. But it is high risk, okay? It'll promote your cannabis, blah, 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 blah. No, get the hell out of here. Scammer. If you have to advertise in a Discord by spamming, then I don't think we can trust you that you're very good at doing ads, sir. All right, so it looks like we're pulling down. I got filled. That's okay. We took an aggressive entry there. I'm down $3 for the day. Not the end of the world. But again, this is the outcome matrix here. So we've got 2 losses, 1 win, and we're still around break even for the day. So I'm just seeing. So these are being a little bit wrangly today. So I'm just going to take a quick final inventory here. So LRMR, you see they're all just kind of hugging ranges. They're all just kind of staying. I think LRMR is still going to be the best candidate here. All right, go ahead and get ready for this. I want to take it over these wicks. That's what I want. Yeah, it's gotta, ideally it breaks out of this box. I think we can maybe get in a little early. I'm going to try it a little early, but don't copy me. I'm going to grab my piece right there. Again, super high risk because I'm taking it before it actually breaks out of the area of potential. So I'm taking a little bit more aggressive entry. Therefore, I have a higher risk of it pulling back down. But that is my my approach, right? So I take a little bit more aggressive entries, and then looks like we're maybe going to hit target, maybe not. So far, we're pulling up. We're over 385. We're out of the box. We got a lot of strength going through the box, but it's bisecting it. So pretty sketchy. So we'll see where that one wants to go. And looks like we hit our target. So we're up $4 for the day. Let me just, or 231, I guess, because we got filled sloppy. That's the other downside of these is that we're trading super, there's a lot of slippage. So in this case, it looks like that's just what I'm going to get for the day, right? And again, that's because I'm using brackets and because I took 2 wins, 2 losses. But that slippage is a killer, right? So if we pull up the matrix here, right, and I pull this up, you guys can see 2 wins, 2 losses was supposed to net me about 0.5%, but I got 0.3% because of the extra, the inefficiency of the fills, right? So like I would normally have wanted to get filled at whatever my take profit was, but since it was a market order, or sorry, a market fill, the limit sell is a little bit closer than that 3%, and then like it just gets a little bit inefficient from that point. So I'm still happy with 0.3%, considering that I took 2 losses for the day. And my end result here was going to be like 0.5%. So it compounds like every day. If I just get like 0.25% every day, 250 times a year, it still compounds. It's just less efficient. So I ended up getting 0.31%. So I'm just going to put that number in here. I've used all 4 of my buys. I'm not going too crazy here. And obviously, as we go on, we can scale out and we can make bigger profits, but the losses stay the same size, right? And that's the goal. So there's those 3 progressions for trading. And then eventually what we'll do is we'll take away the take profit. So we won't have that ceiling on here, and we'll just move the floor up, and then we'll let things continue as they want to continue. But so far, you guys see the box provides, right? So far, so good. Let me peek over. This looks like it's about to break over these wicks again. I'm not trading it, obviously. I'm done for the day, but that's got, if that can break over these wicks, that's got a nice range that it can push into. So with that said, let's just take a quick inventory of what's left. TLIH didn't give us a good entry. We had our one opportunity here on that little pop, but Webull said that there was like some market open weirdness where it said it could only be liquidated. That's an interface technical issue. So we didn't get that one. LRMR, we had 3 trades on this one. All were quick in and out. 2 were losses. 1 was a win, I believe. Or maybe 1 was a win. 1 was a loss. The other one was definitely a win. RAME didn't give us an entry. It's just in no man's land right now. And then BRTX, we got our one opportunity here that I took a little bit early. I took a slightly anticipatory entry based on volume. And it kind of went against me there. And that's okay, right? Because if we stop out here, we don't have to worry about what to do when the price is all the way down here. So I think all in all, we did a pretty good job. Sorry. At following the rules that we wanted to lay out for ourselves. So I think LRMR is like the only one that's left. Charlie says T1 hit 7.5% from entry. That's good stuff. So you're trading from down here or from 385? Probably here, right? Because that's about 7 point, yeah, 3.7. Oh, so you're down here. Okay. Nice. And you're just moving a stop loss up to let those profits breathe to the upside, and then you're going to choke it out when it's done. Hell yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's got potential to pop here, but it has to get through these wicks. Like this whole range right here, from there to there. I'll draw that. Like that's all going to be resistance right there. That's all institutional sluggishness. So if you can get over this 404 level, you should be good. You take the walk up if you want to. Absolutely. Yeah, it's free real estate. So where's your stop loss? Right below this guy right now? That's a 5 candle. Ooh, now it's right here. 389. Okay. So down. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, you can tell it really wants to go, but it kind of doesn't, right? It just needs increasing volume. It's getting decreasing volume. And you get a heavy wall here on the bid. So it's definitely, it's like a 50-50 right now, right? Like it clearly has potential to get over those wicks. It's pushing up into these wicks with intent. And if it does, it should be a good quick pop, maybe followed by a sell-off, but at least it wants to go and get over those wicks. But it's seeing some resistance here. And that time in sales is pushing, which is nice. Elizabeth says, I'm done. Did 4 trades on LRMR, walking away with 0.78%. Good stuff. So you're just done. That's beautiful. And then that'll compound, right? And like I said, it might not be as big a profit as we, would like. But if we use an approach like this, 6 out of 7 days or 6 out of 7 possible outcomes are profitable. And they all compound, right? The only one that doesn't compound in our favor is this single loss day where we just take 1 trade, it's a loss, we leave for the day. That is excellent risk management because you're still limiting your loss to less than 0.5% per day. And then the remaining 6 outcomes will outperform that, right? Maybe you take 1 win, 1 loss for 2 days to offset it, whatever. You get the idea. At the end of the day, that is very easily offset by this. This is 3 times that amount right there with just 2 simple wins, right? And then that's the name of the game, right? So it's not so much that you're going to win every day, but when you lose, if you just take that 1 loss and you can accept it with grace, and you're not streaming and trying to show a bunch of different things like I am, down 0.5%, and then every other day where you don't lose the first trade, you're net positive automatically, and then you don't have to worry about putting a number on it. It's just going to be variable profits. Your trajectory will have a little squiggle to it, but these compound very nicely over time with very little effort, and that's the goal. So let me catch up on the chat. Babu Chris, those boxes, Pookie, it's like magic. Let's take a look. What do you got? Look at that. I had a one-on-one with this guy, and he's a monster now. I love it. You're making Canada proud, sir. Yeah, I mean, that's a good stuff. I would probably draw it here, personally, on this guy, if that makes sense. You got 2, I think, easier candidates. It's going to be this one here and then this one here, but this range is pretty big, so I'd probably stick with this guy. So just above where you currently have it. I see you're using this candle here, and that's perfectly valid, but I would personally just prefer this guy, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's insane, dude. Good stuff. I love seeing it. Charlie says, can't do like yesterday. The one more on TRX. Remember that? It burned me like a rookie. Too busy in the house with everybody in the snow. No, I mean, if you're walking away with a profit for the day and your goal is just to trade less and let those profits compound efficiently, then you don't have to give them back. I do, because I'm on a live stream and I'm trying to show you guys multiple things. But if my sole purpose was just to grow this account, I would just do, I would obey this little matrix, right? I would just do this, and I would take away the take profit, or I would scale out on the take profit at 3%. And I would more so focus on just moving my stop loss up and just follow that plan. And that would be it. Because then my losses were guaranteed to be 0.5% or less overall. And then my profits would be uncapped. So I could even outperform the other profits. And that's kind of how you see a lot of these other profits here. I move a stop loss up instead of using a take profit in a lot of cases, or I just manually sell. Like I'll use a mental stop loss. It's the same end result. So yesterday, for example, I got to put the number in here, by the way. I meant to do that. So let me just do this really quickly. I'm not trying to cover up the price action there. I know you guys are probably watching that trade. What was the number? Is 742.14. All right, there we go. I just want to make sure I get the number put in there. So, the goal was to make $11. I made 230, and a lot of that was due to slippage and then just taking 2 losses, right? So you guys also see I take losses. It's not just, blast it all over when I win and, have a bunch of huge devastating losses and all that. So you guys see I take losses. We just manage them well. That's all. So, there were losses in these days as well. You saw on this day here, right? There were just more losses than I was able to outperform. And it's a very small percentage. It's 1.44%. Same with this day. I just lost 1.41% or 55 cents. And this is when the account was much smaller. It was $39 and then $43. So very, very normal, very acceptable. And then here, you guys watched me take literally all 4 losses yesterday. Just loss. We still lost less than 2%. And then it's just a matter of offsetting it with the other profitable days. So today we made 230 instead of 1110. We made about 1/3 of our daily goal, and that's okay because it still compounds. And we still had 4 high quality opportunities for 4 potential high target wins, right? So 2 of them went against us, and that's okay. So we took losses and we win for the day because of our delicious risk reward and solid risk management. Does that all make sense? Like, is the process a little bit cleaner using these? Because I know sometimes people had trouble following when I did like the manual buys and sells, and when I like average down on stuff. Obviously, if you're busy working and you can't look at charts, you can't really follow along with that. And I don't want anyone to hurt themselves. Charlie says, yeah, it looked good. And then Distracto Magneto bought instead of sold. Yeah. Doubled up and then missed the dump. That'll happen. Babu Chris, got to fund my trading account again so I can start making real money. Well, I'm glad you're collecting this data. I mean, money's money. Once you collect the data and you can consistently prove that you can manage that risk really well and offset the losses with profits like we're doing here, then yeah, it makes sense to kind of scale into getting paid mode, right? But if that's a factor and it gets in the way, then that's an obstacle, and you need to focus on that. Out of office, IWM call. Going to be patient for the next trade. You realized $100. Awesome, dude. That's good stuff. And it's a weird market. This definitely wants to go. I think I'm going to look for maybe like 2 shares. No, you know what? I'll do them 1 share at a time. You guys, I got like $9 settled cash on this account. I'll just do a little 1 trade here, 1 trade there kind of thing. This is a good setup if it gets volume. Like this order book is charged. It's like a lightning cloud. It is definitely charged, but it needs volume. So on this one, we can get this wall 236 here pulled, and we might get some volume. I'll probably grab a piece of that. And I really hate this box. Like this box is just in my way. I just want to be able to see the wall. All right, there we go. So 236. So oh, what is it? Nope. Don't like any of that. What is happening here? All right, let me just go to orders and cancel it there. What is happening, Weeble? Why are you weird? All right, so I don't know what's going on here, and this is a challenge. So it looks like I finally got filled. So what's 2.3? That's 3%, 237. Sorry about that, guys. We had a little bit of a tech issue here with Weeble. So for this, I'm just going to sell manually. I bought 1 share. Oh, I hate Weeble sometimes. So for some reason, it had a very hard time filling 1 share at market. So I don't know what's going on there, but I don't trust this. Oh, Weeble. Anyway, so that is going. And then I was also looking over here at LRMR. Looks like it's going to have some trouble. So it might need to retest this and then push if it wants to go anywhere. But that is an interesting little setup. What do you got there, Doctor? You got a 5 candle on the minis? The micros? No, minis. Okay. What do we got? Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's beautiful. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. Nice clean push. Now, if you look to the left here at that range, was there any other violent reaction out of that same range historically? Yeah, is low volume and trying to make some climb. Let's take a look. Yeah, it needs. I wouldn't trade it on this time frame personally, though. And you got a heavy bid wall right there. You see that giant spike right there? Not to say it's going to come down, but if it does, that's where they're going to want to pull it. So right there. So I'd personally just look for a retest above that level, if anything. What else do we got here? FGL, that halted. Oh, EZRA is back on the list. Well, Ezra. I like this one. Obviously, I can't trade it because I'm on a only have like $9 settled cash, so I can't buy a 37-cent stock because I have to buy 100 shares, which is a minimum $37. But I do like this one. We like this one a lot. This one is very, very volatile. We like it. Lots of push and pull on this one for those bigger moves. And that float is beautiful. What's PVLA up to? Nothing. There's no volume on it. TLH, that's a sub-dollar LRMR. We still pulling back here? Yeah, look at that. So again, it couldn't get through this range here, right? We tried multiple times. We had 5 attempts to get up into this box and then push through it. Failed all 5 times. So at this point, we can trade the retest here out of this box if we want to. So let me, oops, just erased my range there. I'm going to draw a line right here. And we'll do one of those for potential continuation. So basically now, every time we get a lower closed candle, I'm going to move my threshold down. And then when that breaks, then I'll take my entry. So again, I'm just showing you guys single share. Just so you can kind of see what it looks like. My cat is howling outside my door. I hate him. He doesn't meow like a cat. He howls. He's like a weird little husky. Yeah, he's a goblin child. His name is Dermis. He's a hairless. He's a Sphinx cat. So we basically named him Skin. But right now he's being dermatitis. All right, got a little pickup there. Let's see if it's enough to kick it back over. All right, looking for a break over 393. Ooh, they almost got me on that one. Almost pushed the button. There we go. Just that quick. Pew, pew, pew. All right, so now in theory, right, we're pushing out of a box with high potential value, with strength, strong enough, and we've this entry's a little high. Like I would much rather see a candle down here, but we have a nice tight stop loss just in case on one share, and then we'll see if that's enough to get through this box here. So it's decision time. We're going to break back into this box or up through this box, and then we'll be able to walk away. So there's a lot of wicks here to the upside. So we got some territory to fight through. But, you know, it's got the strength. We've got a pullback. You know, it's a good little retracement there. A little bit shallower than I would like, but that's a good sign of strength for a quicker pop. So we'll see if it wants to go up. Or we just flag and then it pulls down. What do we got there? Oh, okay. Jun got 1.44% profits, done for the day. Good stuff. And hiding at work. I love it. That's good stuff. Did one trade, got his goal for the day. Thanks for sharing that. What a menace. I love seeing that. So he's giving himself a raise for that day. Now my dog is barking. Just don't have pets, guys. It's fine. I don't mind him. But I think the wife's trying to sleep, though. All right. Looks like we might be getting our push here pretty soon. We're stacked pretty heavy on the ask, which is what I like. Now we just got to see the time and sales ramp up and break through these walls. So looking for a clean push up to like 411. And we're trading one share at a time. So this is like a $3.94 allocation. So if I make 3 cents on that, you know, that's looking like a 9-cent profit. So we're just going to increase this number by a little bit if it's a profit on that one trade. So again, it's still not going to hit our 1.5% goal, but at least it's a little extra drop in the bucket in the upside. So now we got to clear this blue box right here. So again, this will be attempt number 6 to push through here. After market open, that is. And a bunch of these just got a surge in volume. So we should be good. But again, there's like this very clean level right here. And I don't see a wall here at 4. It's just spot resistance. So as soon as that breaks, we should see a good jump. there's going to be a lot of buying pressure into that level as well. It's one of the very few times there's an actual whole number acting as a resistance level. Normally that's a little bit of a gimmick that people can use to just justify feeling nervous around whole numbers, but they don't always, actually they rarely act as hard resistances. They're almost always broken through. So it's one of those things like people say, but if you look at the data, it shows that like zeros and fives and whole numbers, whole dollar amounts, they don't usually act like resistances. So it's interesting to see this one actually doing that. It's got a lot of strength here. I like what I'm seeing. Still kind of more urgently stacked on the ask side, but it's got to get through like 4 and then shoot up to 404, 405. And then we should see a good clean pop up to like 411. So watch the time and sales here. We'll look for 401. A bunch of $4 fills. So we're filling that wall. Just looking right here for a 401. Like if you look at the top like 3 numbers here, your eyes will catch it before your brain will recognize it. And then it'll be a little easier to spot. So we're just waiting for that to break. If it wants to. It might also sell down pretty violently as well. That is true with any area of contention. So we know the $4 range has potential for violence, right? Now, ideally, it works in our favor. All right. So there's 742 units there at $4. The rest of these are market orders that are coming in. You see all these mid fills. So I'm just looking for a quick 401. Let me move my mouse out of the way so you guys can see it, if you can see the numbers. So one of these surges of volume should do it. All right, well, we're waiting for that. Let me catch up on the chat here. Babu Chris says, it's just boxes and lines and stop loss. It's paper trading, folks. Pookie, you're the best. I think it finally clicked in my brain. Dude, that's amazing. So you started with 107,000. It's a paper count, but you started with 107,000 and you ended up with 146,000. And then you started here with 72,000 and grew that to 107,000. That's amazing, dude. So those are pretty substantial profits for just some shapes and colors, sir. So good stuff. Love seeing it. AKA, what does it mean when the time and sales flashes red, a solid red or green instead of just the numbers red or green? So when there's, you're talking about the background colors, when there's like a bold color, that just means that something's filled outside the bid-ask spread. So orders are matched based on availability. So there needs to be, like right here, there needs to be a buyer and a seller that both agree to the same price. And that's what the bid and ask determine is you know, the closest available price. So if that can't satisfy the request for the orders that are trying to be matched, it'll have to reach out beyond that, depending on the order type. And sometimes you get outside fill. So somebody might, like right here, the bid is 398. Somebody might have a larger order that matches what's being asked from the ask side down here at 396. So it'll reach beyond the bid ask spread, and you'll get it's a more aggressive order, basically. And so it doesn't really have any inherent meaning because it's a result of a couple different combinations of potential causes. But generally, it just means that there's some aggression on one side or the other. So, and again, when you look at the time and sales, like right here, that was a whole bunch of outside orders on the bid side. That just means that buyers and sellers are both transacting, but the bid order had to go farther to get what it wanted. So it just means it's a more aggressive opportunity. So, and when you look at this, it's a spot measurement. Like think of like taking someone's blood pressure. You're not going to detect ongoing cardiac problems just by checking blood pressure one time. It's an instance, like it's just a screenshot. So that's why you have to take the time and sale stuff into context. So this is just a final confirmation of like price break, for example, and aggression. It doesn't really tell you anything if you start here. All right, so it looks like we failed so far. And in situations like this too, like when you have a 5 candle and it's going up into a level of contention like that, we could have just moved the stop loss up to right below there because that was the last closed and 5th candle with a higher low. But I'm leaving this one open just to demonstrate, the potential in either direction, just to keep it a little bit more in line with the rules. And the rule just states I hit the button and that's it. So we're probably going to come down and test this box again, which means we'll get stopped out. Can I guarantee that? No. What is Grand doing, by the way? Oh, that is ugly. Yeah, so it looks like we just got filled on LRMR. But that's okay. That's why we have the stop loss, right? So one share came down, hit stop loss. Now we get to avoid all that potential drawdown because we chose to stop out right here as the price was coming down. Because the only time you can get a stop loss filled is if price is coming down, right? So if price is going up, we sell with a target. If it's going down, we sell with a stop loss, and then we avoid all this extra stuff. So that extra 2.5% drawdown we didn't have to deal with. So I'm okay with that. I would much rather take a small stop. So we moved from 0.31% for the day to 0.29%. It's the end of my financial career. FGL is another good. This one's good when it gets volume. It's not like it doesn't do anything right now though. But you guys know that this is one we've traded a bunch when there's volume. Like there has to be days like this. So this is good to keep it put on the radar, right? We're starting to see some volume, but it's already fallen off. So not ideal. PVLA still doing nothing. And oh crap, I didn't realize it's after 10. I will have to jump off here pretty soon. Let me end the live stream / recording part of this. Thank you all for watching on social media. I'm going to be in the Discord. Let me put the link for the Discord in here on YouTube and all the other platforms. You guys are welcome to join there for free. I do this every Tuesday. Mad Maverick does every Thursday. We have a bunch of streams in free and we have a lot more in premium. So I'll put that link here as well for when you're ready. There's no pressure, but if you use code new50, you get a 50% discount if you're a new customer. So let me put that on the social media stuff and then let me end that recording. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to be in the Discord here in a second.